I have a friend, a taiga hunter, named Sergei. Older guy, tough as nails, been hunting the taiga since before he could walk, practically. Doesn't believe in any kind of supernatural nonsense. Taken every animal you can name, from field mice to brown bears. A bear mauled him once, even after he'd put every round in the magazine into the thing. So one evening, over a glass of tea, he told me a story that turned my blood cold. Honestly, I have my doubts. I wouldn't believe it from most people, but this is a man I respect deeply. Sergei had decided to head out into the taiga to set sable traps. Packed his rucksack, loaded up 2 days' worth of food, stuffed a separate bag with traps, slung his trusty TOZ-54 over his shoulder, and set off on foot to work a new trapline. It was the tail end of October, prime fur season. He'd planned a fairly simple route with one night in the forest. No tent. His old canvas one was too heavy to bother with. He'd heard from another hunter about a zimovai somewhere in the area, a backcountry cabin, and figured he'd sleep there. His route took him past a small village where he stopped to rest. He offered cigarettes to some of the local men and got to talking, asked them about the nearest cabin. The men went strange on him. There is one, not too far, only nobody's used it in about 5 years because the place is wrong. A bad place. There used to be a pagan shrine there. Now all kinds of strange things happen. They wouldn't say exactly what kind of strange things, just bad place. You'll feel it the moment you arrive. Better to sleep in the open forest, they said. Safer that way. Sergei believed in neither God nor the devil. He thanked the men, smiled to himself, and kept walking. Once he was in the forest, he found a promising stretch of sable habitat, set a couple of traps, laid out the bait. By the time he'd finished, the light was already fading. Autumn darkness comes fast. He picked up his pace, trying to find the cabin. He was tired, hungry, and sick of the weight on his back. Then, without warning, something felt wrong. A creeping unease settled over him. A moment later, he understood why. The birds had gone silent. The leaves had stopped rustling. The whole forest had frozen. He crested a low rise, and there it was, the zimovai. A small but solid log cabin, no padlock on the door, already a good sign. Inside, everything was laid out and ready. Firewood split and stacked, tins of beef stew, a bag of sugar, remarkably tidy, in fact. Whoever had stayed here last had observed the hunter's code. If you use a backcountry cabin's supplies, you leave it ready for the next man. Sergei dropped his gear and lit the stove. By then it was fully dark outside. He boiled some buckwheat, dumped in a tin of stew, brewed tea. A proper meal. Afterward, by the light of an oil lamp, he checked over his gear and laid plans for an early start. One annoyance, his phone was nearly dead. In the morning, he could look around the yard for a generator. Maybe he'd get lucky. For now, it didn't matter. Time to sleep. He lay down on the bunk and knew immediately that something wasn't right. A dread was working at him, formless and insistent. The feeling that something terrible was drawing closer. A bear, maybe, prowling nearby. He pulled the rifle closer just in case. Still, the unease wouldn't leave him. He turned off the lamp and told himself that morning has more sense than evening. He slept, and then through the layers of sleep he heard a dull knock at the door. He was on his feet instantly, rifle in hand. Silence. Had he dreamed it? The quiet was absolute, ringing. He walked to the door and checked the bolt. Nothing. He turned back toward the bunk, and then from the darkness on the other side of the stove came a clear, distinct woman's whisper. Maxim, peekaboo. He lit the lamp with a shaking hand. No one, swept the corners with his flashlight, empty. He sat down, smoked a cigarette, and gradually the feeling loosened its grip. Exhaustion, he decided. He lay back down, then came another knock, loud, sudden, like a fist. He lurched upright as though scalded, and from the other side of the door came a voice. Maxim, Maxim, open up, right now. And as he listened, the voice shifted from a woman's to a deep, rough male bass. Sergei, lifelong atheist, crossed himself 3 times and began to recite a prayer. At that moment, his phone buzzed on the table. He walked over and picked it up, and immediately knew something was wrong with it. When he understood exactly what was wrong, cold sweat broke over him all at once, and he could not hold back a scream of pure and absolute horror. There on the screen glowed a notification. Max Messenger has been successfully installed. Still screaming, Sergei hurled the phone into the corner, grabbed his rifle and his bag, and ran, out into the night, into the forest. Branches whipped his face as he ran blind, out of his mind with the terror of what he had seen on that screen. He didn't come back to himself until he reached the village. Dawn was already breaking by then. For a long time after that, he says, he was afraid to go into the forest at all, and he has never spent a night in a backcountry cabin since.